Welcome to this deep dive. We are really thrilled to have you joining us today.
Yeah, especially considering what we've actually got in front of us.
Right, because usually you and I sit down and we sift through a mountain of
A
material.
massive, dense academic paper.
Exactly. Or, a sprawling documentary series or some 500-page geopolitical history book.
The heavy stuff.
The very heavy stuff. But today we are looking at something completely different.
It's refreshing, honestly.
It really is. We're literally looking at someone who woke up one morning, grabbed a scrap of paper, and decided, you know what? I think I'll just solve the fundamental nature of astrophysics, biology, and the human soul.
Right before breakfast.
Just casually, yeah. It is a single, deeply intriguing, handwritten note.
Just a few words.
A few words, a couple of numbers, mapped out on one single page.
It really is a masterclass in brevity. Because what we have here is, for all intents and purposes, a theory of everything.
Sketched out with a pen.
Exactly. The author of this note has built a conceptual map that takes the physical, elemental composition of our entire universe and lays it directly over top of human psychology.
And spirituality, too.
Right, and spirituality. Our mission for this deep dive is to decode this map. We're going to look at the incredibly specific words the author chose.
And figure out how these vastly different disciplines are connected.
Yeah, how standard model astrophysics, basic human emotion, and esoteric metaphysics are actually locked together in one unified framework.
And to help you picture this as we talk through it, I want you to imagine a piece of paper with a very clear, deliberate visual layout.
The structure is everything here.
It is. The whole note is structured into two distinct columns. And down the exact middle, there is a literal column of ampersands.
Those end symbols.
Right, the and symbols. They act as a visual divider, but also, I think, as a kind of fulcrum.
Balancing the left side against the right side?
Exactly. The author is drawing a massive, bold dichotomy between two fundamental forces. They're splitting literally everything in existence into these two columns. Okay, let's unpack this, starting from the very top, where the grand theme is established.
Right at the top, acting as the ultimate headers for these two columns, the author has written two overarching words.
On the left side, contraction.
And on the right side, expansion.
The big two.
The big two. These are the two opposing forces that govern this entire theory. Everything that follows on the left side of the page is categorized under the umbrella of contraction.
So forces that pull inward.
Right, forces that shrink, condense, and collapse. And everything on the right side of the page falls under expansion.
Forces that push outward, grow, reach out, and accelerate.
Exactly.
And right below those two headers, we get our first set of numbers, which dictates the entire ratio of the system.
This is where the math comes in.
Yeah. Under contraction on the left, the author has written 30%.
And under expansion on the right, they've written 70%.
So immediately, right off the bat, we are told that this isn't a 50-50 split.
It's not a perfect yin and yang balance.
Not at all. The universe, according to this map, is fundamentally lopsided in a very specific mathematical way.
Which brings us directly to the first major layer of the note, the physics.
Because the author grounds this massive philosophical dichotomy in actual quantifiable cosmology.
Let's look at that left column first. The 30% side representing contraction. The note breaks this 30% down into two physical components of our universe.
First, they list matter.
And in parentheses, they write approximately 5%.
Then right below that, they list dark matter.
With approximately 25% in parentheses.
It's just wild to see standard model physics laid out this way. We all know matter and dark matter make up that roughly 30% of the universe's mass-energy framework.
But seeing it codified strictly as contraction is striking.
It really is. The author even draws a little arrow pointing down from matter and dark matter to the word gravity.
They are explicitly tying these physical elements to gravity.
Which operates as the ultimate cosmic hoarder.
A cosmic hoarder, I love that.
Well, it is. It's the force of attraction that desperately wants to pull mass together.
It is the literal physical embodiment of contraction on a cosmic scale. Gravity takes chaotic dust and gas and violently pulls it inward.
To form stars, planets.
Black holes. It is a condensing force. It wants to crush everything into a single point.
So essentially, the universe is failing by a solid C- grade when it comes to holding itself together.
That's one way to look at it.
Because if gravity, matter, and dark matter only make up 30% of the equation, they are losing the battle.
They are definitely losing. Which brings us to the right side of the note, the side dedicated to expansion.
Under that 70% heading, the author has written dark energy.
And again, in parentheses, they note approximately 70%.
What's fascinating here is how the author has perfectly balanced the composition of the universe to establish this universal baseline of behavior.
Right. In cosmology, dark energy is the theoretical force that is causing the expansion of the universe to accelerate.
While gravity, that 30% on the left, is desperately trying to pull the universe together.
Dark energy, that dominant 70% on the right, is actively pushing it apart.
So the author has taken the literal astrophysical state of our reality and used it as the foundation for this entire dichotomy.
30% of existence is pulling inward.
And 70% is pushing outward.
Exactly.
If the note just stopped right there, it would be a neat, poetic little cheat sheet for a college astronomy exam.
Really would.
But they don't stop there. So if gravity is the ultimate physical manifestation of pulling inward and dark energy is pushing outward, how does the author map that onto us biologically?
What is the human equivalent of gravity?
Yes.
This is where we cross the threshold into the psychological layer of the note. If we look at the next line down in the left column.
The side governed by contraction, gravity, and that 30% pull inward.
The author has written the word hide.
And right next to it, in parentheses, the word pain.
And over on the right side of the page, the 70% side governed by expansion and dark energy.
They've written the word seek.
And in parentheses next to that, the word pleasure.
Hide and seek. Pain and pleasure.
The analogy here requires a bit of parsing, but it is incredibly profound. The author is suggesting that our biological and psychological responses to the world operate on the exact same principles as the physics of the cosmos.
Think about the biological imperative of pain. For you listening right now, when you experience physical trauma, your involuntary instinct is to withdraw.
To pull back.
If you touch a hot stove, your arm violently pulls inward toward your center.
Or if you are emotionally hurt, say going through a devastating breakup or a betrayal.
Your instinct is to close yourself off.
You build walls, you retreat into your home, you isolate.
Pain forces a biological and psychological contraction. It pulls you inward exactly the same way gravity pulls mass together.
It's the exact same motion.
Think about the last time you were in real agonizing pain. Whether physical or emotional, you probably didn't want to go out and socialize.
No, not at all.
You didn't want to go to a party or meet new people. Your instinct was likely to pull the covers up, shrink down into the fetal position.
Which is literally the most physically contracted shape a human body can make.
Yes, you want to just disappear. That is gravity at work on your psyche. It's this heavy, collapsing force.
Pain equals hiding, which equals gravity, which equals contraction.
Precisely.
And on the flip side of that biological equation, we have pleasure and seeking. Pleasure encourages psychological expansion.
When you experience immense joy, love, or excitement, your instinct isn't to shrink or hide.
Your instinct is to open up, to take up more space, to seek more of that feeling.
When you are truly, ecstatically happy, you want to share it with the world. You feel lighter.
You feel expansive. The author is directly equating this drive to seek out pleasure with the cosmic force of dark energy.
It is a force that pushes you outward.
Expanding your boundaries, pushing you to explore and connect, just as dark energy is pushing the boundaries of the physical universe ever outward.
It totally recontextualizes the concept of hide and seek, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
We think of it as the most primal, innocent game we play as children. But in the context of this note, it's not just a game.
Hide and seek is the fundamental, inescapable binary of human existence.
We are constantly navigating between retreating inward from pain and reaching outward toward pleasure.
We are just little walking microcosms of the universe.
Fighting the exact same battle between gravity and dark energy in our everyday lives.
That is the exact parallel being drawn. The author is taking the most unimaginably large concept we possess.
The accelerating expansion of the universe.
Right, and making it intimately relatable to the most basic human experiences of pain and pleasure.
The macrocosm and the microcosm are operating on the exact same set of rules.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though.
Because we haven't even touched the final layer of this handwritten note.
We've gone from the cold math of astrophysics to the messy reality of biology and psychology.
But the author brings it all home with a massive metaphysical swing at the very bottom of the page.
The final terms listed in the columns reveal the ultimate philosophy behind this entire map.
At the bottom of the left column.
The 30% side of contraction, matter, gravity, hiding, and pain.
The author has written two words, body, and beneath it, mind.
And at the bottom of the right column, the 70% side of expansion, dark energy, seeking, and pleasure.
The author has written just one word, standing completely alone, Spirit.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the implications of these specific word placements are staggering. Let's look at the left side first.
The author is explicitly categorizing both the body and the mind with the heavy, physical, contracting elements of the universe.
Which is a huge claim to make.
Okay, I track with the physical body being tied to matter and gravity. The body is literal matter.
It has mass.
It is subject to gravity. It is the biological machine that physically feels the pain and physically hides in that fetal position we talked about.
That makes perfect sense.
But putting the mind in that same contracting column, that feels counterintuitive to me.
I can see why you'd say that.
Doesn't the mind feel expansive? When we're imagining, dreaming, or conceptualizing the universe itself, isn't the mind pushing boundaries? Why relegate the mind to the side of gravity and hiding?
It's a very common instinct to want to place the mind on the side of expansion. We often conflate the mind with the soul or the spirit.
Right.
But the author is directly challenging that assumption. By placing the mind on the left side, they are asserting that our logical, analytical brains are actually heavy contracting forces.
How so?
Think about how the mind actually operates on a day-to-day basis. The brain is, first and foremost, a survival engine.
It calculates risk.
It worries. It remembers past pain and constantly anticipates future pain.
Trying to protect us by building behavioral defenses.
Ah, I see what you're saying. The mind is the architect of our internal walls.
Exactly. The mind creates the ego. And what is the ego if not a boundary?
It is a limitation.
It is a strict definition of where you end and the rest of the world begins. It is a contraction of the self. Think about the physical sensation of severe anxiety.
Right. Let's say you send a text message to someone you care about, and they leave you on read for 6 hours.
A classic modern nightmare.
Your mind immediately starts calculating the worst-case scenarios. Did I say something wrong? Do they hate me? Am I going to be ostracized?
Your mind spirals into overthinking.
And what happens physically? Your chest tightens, your breathing gets shallow, you feel heavy.
You literally want to crawl under a rock and hide from the social fallout your brain has just invented.
That is the perfect example. Your mind, in its attempt to protect you from perceived social pain, has acted as a gravitational force.
It has pulled you down into a smaller, tightly wound, protective shell.
It literally weighs you down. The mind is bound by the physical reality of the brain, processing the sensory input of the physical body.
It calculates, it judges, it excludes.
And it hoards information, much like gravity hoards matter.
It is a fundamental part of that 30% that is desperately trying to hold things together against the unknown.
That makes a lot of sense when you frame it around survival. The mind and body are just trying to keep the organism alive by avoiding threats.
But then we look across the page to the right side, the expansive element.
The author places spirit completely alone in the right column, aligning it with dark energy, pleasure, seeking, and expansion.
Think about the elegance of that mapping. The spirit in this framework is the equivalent of dark energy.
In astrophysics, dark energy is an invisible force. You can't put it under a microscope, you can't weigh it, and scientists can't put it in a jar.
But you can see its effects everywhere.
Because it is the dominant force driving the outward expansion of reality.
The author is saying the human spirit operates the exact same way.
It has no mass.
It is not bound by gravity.
And it is not bound by the anxious calculations of the mind.
Right. The spirit is the part of us that yearns for connection, for awe, for pleasure, for something greater than our isolated selves.
While the body and the mind are constantly trying to contract, hide, and build walls to protect us from pain.
The spirit is the engine of expansion. It wants to push past the boundaries created by the anxious mind.
It wants to explore. It wants to love.
Because love, in this context, is the ultimate act of expansion. It is the process of merging your boundaries with someone else's.
Breaking down the ego the mind works so hard to build.
I love that. The author has taken these massive, cold, cosmic mysteries, dark matter and dark energy, and used them to explain the deepest internal conflict of being a human being.
Our bodies and our minds are the matter and dark matter.
They are the 30% of us that is grounded, heavy, practical,
and focused on survival and hiding from pain.
But our spirit is the dark energy. It is the invisible, boundless force that pushes us to seek pleasure.
To risk pain in order to expand our consciousness outward into the world.
And we cannot overlook the most crucial part of this entire map, the math.
The author didn't just casually group these concepts together into 2 equal columns.
They anchored them to those specific percentages right at the top, 30% and 70%.
This isn't a battle of equals.
In the physical universe, dark energy is winning.
The universe isn't static, and it isn't collapsing in on itself.
It is expanding.
That expansion is accelerating precisely because that 70% is overpowering the 30% gravitational pull of matter.
Taking that a step further, if this author's grand unified theory is correct, the same must be true for us internally.
The spirit isn't just an equal counterweight to the body and the anxious mind.
It is the vast majority stakeholder in our existence.
That is the profound beauty of this single piece of paper. It is proposing a mathematically backed philosophy of radical optimism.
It isn't ignoring the difficult parts of life.
Yes, pain exists. Yes, the urge to hide, to build walls, and to contract is a very real gravitational force in our lives.
Governed by our fragile bodies and our hypervigilant minds.
But the math says it is only 30% of the equation.
The dominant force, the 70% that defines the overarching trajectory of the entire system,
Both the cosmos and the human soul.
is the spirit's drive to expand.
It is perfectly symmetrical in its asymmetry. It acknowledges the heavy, painful, undeniable realities of our physical day-to-day existence.
But it places them in their proper context.
The gravity of our pain is ultimately dwarfed by the overwhelming, expansive nature of our spiritual drive to seek connection.
It forces you to look at your own behavior and ask a very simple question. Which force am I aligning with today?
Am I letting the gravity of my mind and the fear of potential pain pull me inward, making my world smaller and smaller?
Or am I tapping into the dark energy of my spirit, seeking pleasure, connection, and expansion?
Because the literal math of the universe suggests that expansion is our natural, inevitable trajectory.
Gravity might hold the planets together, but dark energy is moving the universe forward.
So what does this all mean?
To wrap up what we've unpacked today, this single, unassuming piece of paper provides a grand, unified theory of existence.
Scaling all the way from the cold reaches of deep space to the deeply personal anxieties of a Tuesday afternoon.
It tells us that existence itself is a constant, ongoing tug-of-war between contraction and expansion.
On a universal scale, it's gravity fighting dark energy.
On a human scale, it's the biological instinct to hide from pain, fighting the spiritual drive to seek out pleasure.
It tells us that our bodies and our logical, worrying minds are tied to the heavy, contracting forces of reality.
While our spirit is the invisible, dominant engine of growth.
And as we conclude this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought.
A lingering question built directly from the map provided in this source text.
If the universe is fundamentally weighted at 70% expansion and only 30% contraction,
And if this author's mapping of the human condition holds true,
does that mean our default human state, our spirit, our relentless drive to seek, and our deep capacity for pleasure is actually designed to mathematically overpower our pain, our calculating minds, and our primal instinct to hide?
that is an incredible question to ponder as you navigate the gravity of your own day. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into one extraordinary piece of paper. We hope you keep seeking,
Growing.
and most importantly, keep expanding.